am Barbie Ferreira, and this is my last meal.
Every person has exactly two things in common. We all gotta eat and we're all gonna die. Today's guest stars in the new movie Bob Trevino Likes It, out in theaters on March 21st. She's also starred in Euphoria, hosted a Vice show, modeled in international campaigns, and is the lead singer and bassist of post emo band Seasonal Affective Disorder. Barbie Ferreira, welcome to the show.
I am definitely the bassist of that band, yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you for having me.
Of course, all of us sad heads out here, we've been waiting for more than a decade at this point for an album, a single, any sound whatsoever, and we have not gotten it. When can we see your debut album?
To be honest, I've been working for years on a lot of different things. I'm trying to figure out my sound because I love a hyper pop moment, but I also love a traditional pop punk emo. So we're really trying to find the mix there. So one day.
I love that you're not rushing it though. You're letting this. I feel like all the genres have changed around you since you've started Seasonal Affective Disorder.
Exactly. I've actually renamed it. We've gone through breakups, me and my partner in it. We'll see.
Would you say this band exists in a traditional sense?
Never.
Okay, gotcha. Perfect. Gotcha. Yeah. That makes sense why I know songs. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Have you thought about your last meal before?
I actually have not. I think that what's good about this show is that you can have a bunch of different ones, but having one single food is very scary to me because I grew up in such a culinary family. My mom's a chef, my aunt's a chef, so I feel like food is a way of expressing just how I'm feeling in that moment, what I'm obsessed with. So it's hard. I love it too much to pick my favorite.
Was there any one dish that stood out when you were thinking about it? If there was one single plate of food, if this was a 30-second show, that would be the thing.
Anything that is Brazilian food that's made by my mom. So my mom makes a really yummy boba de camarão. She can make even everything she makes is just has that Brazilian nostalgia flavor to it. So it's I would probably say that. I would say anything my mom makes. Oxtail, she makes a really good one with rice and beans and a little collard green. It's just so probably that.
How often do you think about death?
A lot.
A lot. Is this a recent thing or throughout your whole life?
My whole life. My favorite movie growing up was Harold and Maude, and it was where Harold pretends to he sets up these kind of pranks where he would different murder or scenarios, and so I was always a little goth, a little emo. So it was I pondered death my whole life. That sounds so dark, but I don't think so. I don't think it has to be.
No, I think everyone thinks about death a lot more, especially than they lead on. And if they don't, I think they're kind of kidding themselves. It's almost the only thing that we should think about.
Yeah, I mean that's the only certain thing that's gonna happen, huh?
That's what I'm saying. We gotta eat and we gotta die. Yeah. She knows the tagline of the show. Are you ready to get to the first course of your final meal?
Yes. Okay.
Barbie, for the first course of your final meal, we have the pigs in a blanket, some freshly laminated pastry dough wrapped around Lil Smokies, the finest in the game, little sesame seeds on top, ketchup and honey mustard for dipping, and then we have the Xiaolong Bao, beautiful steamed pork dumplings with your ginger, your black vinegar, a little bit of chili crisp. What a start. A tale of two dishes.
I'm addicted to the frozen pigs in a blanket. That whenever I have a surprise birthday or something where I'm not aware of what's happening, people get me a tower of pigs in the blanket because
Wait, to this day.
To this day.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, I love pigs in the blanket so much. I don't know why they're addictive. I think it's because I grew up in a household where it's everything was cooked so fresh and everything's so good. And then these are my naughty little I just loved them.
That's incredible. Please grab a pig in a blanket. They're not that fancy. We kind of just put
fancy.
A little bit of egg wash and some sesame on it. There's nothing better than this.
I will eat a whole thing.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny you're a chef's kid because I know so many chefs that they'll get off a 10-hour service working in line and then go immediately to the Taco Bell drive-thru.
You got it. My mom my mom worked at a restaurant for most of my childhood, and so I barely saw her. She went to culinary school when I was 4.
Wow.
So my grandma took care of me, and so we all lived in the apartment in New York, and then my mom would go to school and then work at a Jean Georges restaurant as an intern, and she would be peeling onions all day, and then she'd come home and she's I don't want to cook. But what's great is that she always did. She always made something, even if it was and my mom always really loved making me food that was very nutrient rich, even if it wasn't typically what an American would eat. So she would always make me chicken hearts and liver and a lot of that. So the pigs in the blanket were me being I can't. No more chicken hearts.
I think these are
Mom.
nutrient dense too.
These are nutrient dense to me
what
in my
I'm
heart.
Tell me about the soup dumplings.
When I was like really young, I fell in love with soup dumpling. I used to go to Joe's Shanghai and like, just classic little like New York thing. And I would go and it's amazing. And I've yet to find like a place in LA that I really connect with soup dumplings. And we're waiting.
So these are from Din Tai Fung, which is a chain.
I love Din Tai Fung.
DTF's
I do
good.
love Din Tai Fung.
Grab a soup dumpling. Not to rush you through. We can go back to the pigs in a blanket, but these are getting cold.
You're right.
There is a perfect Goldilocks temperature because I've scalded the hell out of
I
them.
have too. And some of them will get real big. I'm gonna put some of this black vinegar.
I love like a DIY food where you have to prepare each bite with something.
Like a Korean barbecue or like a hot pot. I like will go crazy.
Just a little tinkerer. You have a new movie out called Bob Trevino Likes It.
Yes, I do.
You are utterly freaking fantastic. I was telling you this earlier, but like I was like rewinding scenes to watch them. One of the main things that stuck out is it's some of the best crying scenes I've ever seen in a movie. We're not talking about like getting one real tear to be shed. We're talking like utter emotional devastation in such a beautiful way. How much of that is acting skill versus how much is you just drawing from the emotional source material?
As I grow as an actor, I'm realizing that really what the craft is connecting your own emotions to your performance in a way that is so natural and real. And so that I feel like that's with Bob Trevino. I didn't struggle finding the realness of it any moment. So it really came to me like I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to prepare for it. Obviously I knew my lines and like knew what I'm producing it. So hopefully I know about the movie. But I didn't have to really stress over it because I had so many conversations with Tracy Lehman, who's a director and writer, and it's based off her life. I was surprised that it didn't take a lot of forcing it. It was very natural throughout the movie. So I think that's what it was just, there's certain scenes that just me reading it would make me sob. Yeah. And I think like when you connect with the text that much, like when writing is so good, then it's almost like it makes your job so easy. And, and I mean, it was such a team effort for that. So I'm really happy that I got the space to do it. It was very indie. So, sometimes you get that when I'm really emotional, we get John Rosario, who's the DP. He was like literally like, having to catch it. And like, it was a wonderful experience, but thank you so much. That means a lot.
You mentioned the movie was based on Tracy Lehman's experiences in her own world, but it seems like you have a lot to connect with your own character. Like the movie is really about like an unapologetically neglectful father in a lot of ways. And I know your dad bounced when you were like 7 years old. Did you like connect through a lot of real life experiences there?
It untangled so much more than that for me. It untangled just how I treat myself, how I grew up feeling about, and how that translates when you're an adult. It almost felt like a therapy session for me too, where I got to really like see what my emotions were like. It felt like I didn't have to make a decision about what the character was feeling. It just felt like it was there, which was really cool. Speaking of it being like a big therapy session, one of my favorite scenes is when you go to a therapist for the first time, because it's like such a beautiful microcosm of everything. One, your comedic timing in it is great. It's ironic because your comedic timing is coming while you're detailing the most horrific tragedies in your life to this therapist, but you see your character Lily like trying to protect her therapist's emotions at some point instead of her own. Do you identify with that? Like, it was almost like she was making her sadness smaller to protect the comfort of another person. Absolutely. And I think that's what was really tragic about Lily. I think for me, it's like, I also do this thing where, when really sad things happen, you kind of just joke it off. There's only one way to go but to laugh, right? I always feel like all the saddest projects need to have some levity in it to make it real, because it just feels like that's what I do, and like what people around me, how we make sense of it is by laughing through it and crying and laughing and making jokes about it. So I mean, that's what I try to do. Yeah, no, it like didn't give in to cliches in a lot of ways, because you expect something, if it's tragic, to just be tragic, but it felt like so very human in a lot of ways. And one of my favorite cliches that it didn't give into was just this cliche of forgiveness, right? Like, not the giveaway that go to the whole damn movie, but it didn't go into the cliche of forgiveness with your father. It kind of like leaned into this idea of finding that chosen family over this
need to kind of like keep something in your life?
Well, I think that's what was really important when me and Tracy were talking. It was really important that I think, there's this fairy tale that like everything's gonna happen, everything's gonna be, it's gonna be wrapped up in a little bow, but that's not the reality. And I think punishes the person, the victim of whatever kind of abuse it is, to make it their job to forgive without any kind of effort. Now, if like there was a mutual effort, there was something where, the relationship could grow, that's different. But that's not how it works a lot of the time. I mean, that's like not real life. Real life is maybe you don't get along with your parents, and maybe there is no solve to it. And it's okay, because you're still like, you can still be loved, you can still have a family, you can still have like all these like a full life. I mean, that's like a universal thing. I think it can apply to so many different things where it's like, sometimes you just can't change someone's mind. Yeah. And that's okay.
We've seen like so many different Barbie Ferreira eras, going from, modeling to acting and things like Euphoria. And then this being your first like full starring role in a feature, it felt like we were seeing like capital A star actor Barbie Ferreira smash through the screen. And I'm not just buttering your bread over here for no reason. Like I'm dead serious. Did this feel like a big evolution for you, or just kind of like the next logical step in your career?
I think I learned so much more with everything that I do, whether it be doing a small budget movie, a high budget, like, or doing Broadway or whatever. I feel like I'm just unlocking these different parts of my craft that are really useful. And Barbie Ferreira taught me a lot about myself as an actor, a lot. And like it was a summer in Kentucky, baby.
Stop the show. Before we move on to the next course, I want to make sure you know about our special live stream event happening April 3rd, Survive the Mythical Kitchen. There's going to be chaos, there's going to be competition, there's going to be a grand prize that the Mythical Kitcheneers really desperately want to win. We've been designing all new challenges for this, and there is even a last meals element that you're not going to want to miss. Get your tickets now at mythicalkitchenlive.com.
Barbie, for the second course of your final meal on Earth, we have the coxinha, made with some braised chicken thigh and drumstick, then reformed, packed around a dough, fried. Of course, this is filled with catupiry cheese, a type of requeijão for the people out there who know. Then we got the pernil with the rice and beans and the passion fruit juice. The name for passion fruit in Portuguese is...
Maracujá.
Maracujá.
Yes.
Maracujá.
Oh, this looks gorgeous.
Wow. Tell me about the coxinhas.
Coxinha, okay, this is like a Brazilian salgadinho. I had one last night. These are incredible. I mean, I don't even know what to say. They're perfect. The catupiry is like pretty hard to find the one with it, like unless you're like in a Brazilian area. And I grew up in
You can take this home. That's our gift to you. Take it to the grave. Be buried like a pharaoh with the catupiry cheese.
This is amazing. Oh, I like dream of this. I mean, oh my God, thank you so much. That's honestly, that means a lot, because wow. Catupiry is so yummy in a coxinha. And not all coxinhas have it, but that's my favorite. And I think they were my favorite, like out of all the like salgadinhos, like if there's like a pastel, or I think coxinha is my favorite.
Wait, you used a word, but you said it really fast.
Salgadinhos. It's like little salty stuff. It's like a direct.
Oh, almost like a fried kind of bar
It's like
snacky.
the pastelzinhos, like the little like a Brazilian empanadas. Or like those little like they make like a bolinho de bacalhau. You can make like a little tiny like fish thing. It's just like things that you like just pick on.
It's so funny. I feel like eat, nosh, bubble, eat. But I feel like Brazilian food is like very underrepresented in LA specifically.
It is.
Yeah,
But Culver City, there's Brazilians there.
Hell yeah. That is. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's so hot.
Wow.
What's the Brazilian dance?
Samba.
Samba? I'm here, Barbie.
This is wonderful. Whoever made this, very nice.
Tell me about the pernil.
Okay, so I lived in New York for much of my life, and I love Dominican food. I love Dominican food. I used to hang out in Washington Heights all the time, and I would get like cachapas and like, oh my God. So this right here is like so perfect, because again, there's not a lot of Brazilian food, so this is like similar but very different, and it still like kind of scratches that itch of like mom's food, and it's just like so yummy. I love it when the pernil is like extra crispy and yummies. It's just everything.
I just love a giant plate of like wet pork and beans. That's
exactly
all I want.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I love like how much of a big city kid you are, though, in terms of your taste too. Like you're talking about Joe Shanghai, you're talking about going to the local Dominican spot. Like it seems like you really thrive off of that like big city diverse energy.
Like I would go every week with my mom to a different cuisines restaurant. Like that was like our thing. It's like how we bond to this day. It's how we bond. My mom loves to travel just to like eat the foods, and so it's for me. It's just like food from all over the world is it's interesting because my mom, like, you would think that I would make like a lot of like Brazilian food, but I actually cook a lot of like Korean food, which is like so it's like, I grew up with, my mom made a lot of like Brazilian food, Mediterranean food, all that stuff, and I make a lot of like Korean food. Sometimes I'll make like a little Japanese vibe, but it's just like, it's what speaks to me. I just like I like a lot of flavor.
You played a chef in House of Spoils.
Yes, I did.
A sous chef with Ariana DeBose. Did your mom teach you any knife skills to prepare for that, or did you just fly in solo? Because you did chop a carrot and you look pretty fluent with it.
Listen, my mom, again, worked in a kitchen, and then became a private chef. My mom, bless her heart, has so many things, but patience is not one of her, her virtues. So I don't think she was a very good teacher about it, but I watched her make food so much, and I would be like her little taster, because I was very honest. So the foundation of it was there. And then I did kitchen training in LA, and then I did a lot in Hungary too. So that's when I really learned, like, oh God, like the machines that like make the pea into into an olive oil.
Where's
and then
the pea go in the kitchen?
The pea, the vegetable pea, it's like it makes it into like a Jello, like, I don't know. I was doing like weird, like high, like really high tech, culinary stuff that I was like, I have no idea what this means. And I was like plating. And so I learned a lot about just like chopping. And I was put to work to chop shallots at Yongbon. And I was like,
literally. You're trying to Yongbon?
Yeah.
Korean food makes sense.
I love Korean food. And they just like randomly told me to go there. And I was like, I love this. And so I was like, chopping and all that fun stuff. I learned a lot. It was so fun, and I love to cook.
It's like jazz. You're kind of there. Suddenly you start hearing the music in the pants.
Yeah, that's why I don't like baking, because I go too baking. I don't know what happens. It's like I just like love to like add things that shouldn't be there. So maybe that's the problem.
I have a general distrust of authority, and so I don't trust recipes, and so baking, it's pretty bad for me.
Yeah.
I want to talk about like general cultural differences between being raised in like a very Brazilian household with your mom and grandma. You described yourself as sort of growing up with like a mom, a grandma, and an aunt, and a bunch of Brazilian lesbians.
Yes.
I think like especially white American Protestant American culture tends to be like very puritanical and focused on like, I don't know, kind of shame in a way. Were there any like major cultural differences between a Brazilian upbringing and American upbringing, especially as you started to model?
I grew up in a way where it was all women, and they were very loud, very funny, and very messy in the best way possible. And they were all like, really creative. And so I grew up with like such high energy women who, are imperfectly perfect. And I really learned, I think, a lot of my confidence in like who I am and like in a room, from them. And I think that was the major thing. I think America, and I grew up in America, so I first off was in like a Brazilian neighborhood. So a lot of my friends were like in Astoria. A lot of my friends were like Brazilian too, so there was like some similarities. The school had some Brazilian kids, and I would go to like a Brazilian church, a Brazilian like salon, a Brazilian like everything, churrascaria, everything. But then when I moved out of that, I realized like how moving away from like an immigrant neighborhood and then going somewhere that's like very American was like so crazy.
You ended up in like suburban New Jersey,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
Working at the American
Apparel in Garden State Plaza. I just went there the other day to see Wicked.
How do you think that affected your upbringing, especially as you started to model and like dealing with a lot of craziness online, a lot of people, judging your body? I remember like the Airy Real campaign when I think you would have been like 19. And I remember seeing the pictures going like, oh, cool, looks sick. And then seeing just a firestorm of people commenting the craziest things in the world. Was your mom able to like help you deal with a lot of that?
She did, because my mom like is such a supportive person with me. Like, but this is so out of her wheelhouse. You know what I mean? She was like, then don't do it. And I'm like, I can't just not do it. The people who love me the most don't really know what to say most of the time. Also, Brazilian media is so much more sexually and like just like liberally like about like bodies and how people look, and Brazilians don't really see like me wearing a string bikini as something so crazy. So I think my mom was kind of like shocked. She was just like, well, that's not what everyone does.
I want to talk about the other side of that if you're a straight size model, you don't have to answer for all straight size models. If you're a plus size model, it seems like you end up having this sort of torch in your hand of everybody asking you what it's like to what's it like to lead the body
asking like a
a
19-year-old me, like things like that.
Really though. I mean, how much did that pressure weigh on you to sort of, I don't know, have to be this flag better when it seems like something you didn't ask for?
It wasn't something I didn't ask for. So it was interesting. I feel like it was speaking my truth, and like I still like, everything I've ever said like about it, and like about my modeling career and what that entails is like it's 100% true, even if I was like 19 and, you know, was like not developed in any way. But I think that what was interesting to me was that people put this like label on me as someone who like has to speak for other people. And I was like, I'm a 19-year-old model. Like, I'm not like an expert on anything. Like, I literally just like model like shoes.
No, you have a master's in ethics. Can you please discuss?
Ethics, wellness, psychology. I mean, what you name it, you know. And I had such great conversations with people, and it was really, I mean, I like that, like, I was able to speak my mind and have these like really great conversations. It's a shame that it's always spiraled into something else where it's like, then I'm like a kid who like has to represent, you know, all these people when that's not really what I was there for. I was there to sell shoes and to be funny sometimes.
How have your reactions to that over your career changed? Like negative comments online, reading about yourself. Have you eventually sort of gotten numb to it, or like does that stuff still hit hard?
I'm not numb to it, but I don't look for it.
Yeah.
Can't look for it. That's a big thing.
Did you used to sort of scroll until you found the exact thing that verified that?
It depends on my mood, you know? And I think it also changes when I was an actor, which is like a completely different ball game, you know? Like I existed as a model in like the fashion world and on the internet. And then I was more like, I used the internet more, I think, when I was a model. I was younger, so I was like, you know, like I used it more. I was like, I put more importance on it. And as I get older, I just can't do that anymore. So I just kind of like have to log off and like go knitting and stuff.
The 2010s Tumblr seems like the scariest place in the world. I don't know anything about it. I wasn't there.
It's coming back though. I'm like, it's too early to come back.
Tumblr people, I'm so sorry.
You gotta wait about 5-10 years. 5-10 years to bring back Tumblr. Like this is making me feel old.
Barbie, for course number 3, this is the main attraction. This is the sundubu jjigae, silken tofu soup, tons of spice, beef, fresh cracked egg on it in the stone bowl. Then we have the rice to go alongside, and of course all of the panchan. Now we have soy braised sweet black beans. We have the fish cake with the peppers. We have the gim, that's the seaweed. We have radish kimchi. We have cabbage kimchi. We have the sesame oil. What are these called? Bean sprouts.
Well, bean sprouts?
I'm out of breath talking about all the panchan after eating all the coxinhas. This is beautiful.
This is gorgeous. This is
awesome.
This is my true, like, this is the meal I could have every day.
Yeah, and you said you actually cooked this at home.
I have made it from like, I made an anchovy broth from like dried anchovies. I did the whole thing. I went to H Mart, I did it.
That's so sick. Please dig in.
First of all, I'm gonna get some of that kimchi. I used to go to the Beverly Tofu House, which closed down, but it
Beverly Soon Tofu.
yeah.
They were awesome. R.I.P. I love when you describe the way your mom cooked for you as like being nutrient dense.
Yeah.
Because something just feels like it like hugs you from the inside. Like something about this where you're like, they've extracted all the love.
It's love.
And it's in here.
Even though my mom is not Korean, she's Brazilian. There's something about it that's so homemade that I like. I chase the homemade like taste in every cuisine, which I don't even know what that is because I don't know. But that's why I made it myself. I was like, I want to try it and see what could happen if I, you know, made this from my heart.
You were on a show called Euphoria.
Sure was.
You played Kat Hernandez. A lot of people know you from that. Kat like finds her sense of confidence online, or if you could call it confidence. I know you mentioned Tumblr. You spent a lot of time online. Would you say that like that was ultimately, let's say, good for your self-esteem and development, or bad for your self-esteem, or is it too facile a way to look at that in terms of good and bad?
I wouldn't be here without it. Right? I think it gave me the confidence. I've always wanted to be an actress my whole life, traumatically. And unfortunately, I've like, you know, since I was like 4, I was like, I want to be on, you know, TV. And
sorry you succeeded.
I know. Ugh. I think at the point that I am in my life, I've learned so much from getting a little taste of being in the public in that way. And it really, like, I really found my confidence in my people through Tumblr. I felt like I met people who were creative and like weirdos and like freaky like me. Like they were just like, you know, I was like such a weirdo kid. Like I like, you know, just had very particular hairstyles and like fashion choices. And I wanted to be kind of, I wanted to find like-minded individuals, and I did. And I met a lot of my friends that I still know from like to today from like Tumblr, you know, like I met like Petra, who's like a great collaborator of mine. She's like an amazing artist, photographer, and we like still shoot to this day, you know. And it's just like you meet so many cool people, and it really started like my creative and artistic life was going on the internet, because I just felt like I was in New Jersey at the time, and I just felt like I just couldn't connect with anyone in my grade and my school. Like I just wasn't like I would like, you know, sneak out and go to New York and go to like art galleries and, you know, not drink the free wine.
Euphoria, I think, scared a lot of people, a lot of old people, which I bet you had to answer for on press tours a lot.
Yeah.
From older journalists just going like, "What the hell's going on with all this sex?
Why are you doing this?"
Do you think it did get anything like very right about Gen Z that older people could like actually use as a lens?
I think there's like these things that teens all of any generation, which is like this like figuring out by doing things badly and learning or not, you know? So I think with Euphoria, it's a very dark take on it. And I think it's true. I mean, there's obviously parts of it that I think are not necessarily universal for all high school students. I know plenty of high school students who are not doing hard drugs all the time.
Well, I think there are actually a lot of statistics out there that would indicate that like Gen Z and younger now are like doing less drugs, having less sex than any generation before that. Like, are we just now seeing that same kind of like fear mongering that any older person has when they get older, that, oh, the kids aren't all right? Yeah. Like, do you think any of that was reflected through Euphoria?
Well, I still just think people were like, this is exactly what happens in every single high school, and my kids are all doing this. You know, and it's a show, it's a fictional show. I think there's truth to it in its emotional aspects and kind of the feeling of wanting to belong or to grow up too fast and all that stuff. But I mean, it's obviously embellished, and also like the fictional high school of Euphoria High is like, you know, when are they in school? Like, when are they in class? You know, it's obviously they're not in class. So it's
significant lack of social studies representation.
There's almost none.
I want to see more book reports.
None. You know, and we're all wearing our tiny little, you know, bag with our binder in it. You know, with our little textbook in it. You know, so I mean, I think I think what actually is really representative of this generation is the aesthetic of it and the way that it's shot and the way that, you know, I just think there's like a lot of it that is real and there's a lot of it that is a little bit exaggerated or put all into one, you know, jam-packed show, which might have like little, you know, pieces of truths in, you know, different places, but not all at once. So maybe that.
Talking about the aesthetic of Euphoria, I think a lot of that kind of came from Petra Collins in a certain way. I don't know if this is a controversial thing, but she had a piece in, I think, 2016 that, like, it's almost a shot for shot of the Euphoria poster, and it's of people crying. Was you crying like kind of one of Petra Collins' muses in a certain way? I think I'd heard you talk about you being shot crying by her a lot.
Oh my god, all the time. There was one Art Basel that she literally was like, "Do you have any photo booth pictures of you crying?" And I was like, yeah, I have like 600. And I sent her a whole, and then she made blankets. And there was like, you know, when I was a kid.
Like active, like a blanket that you could actually
and there was a picture of me on the blanket. She hung
Barbie
it up.
Ferreira crying blankets out there?
Someone bought it at Basel, and there was like a performance art, you know, in front.
Yeah.
Whereas I forgot who it was, but she was like on a bed, just like Skyping someone. So, I mean, Petra and I've been shot by her crying my entire teens. You know, so it's cool because she's a big reason why I to this day, I like, you know, whenever I need to do a shoot or something, I'm like, I need Petra. I love her. I think she's so talented. And I was definitely, especially when I was a kid, we did a lot of crying.
Was part of that leaning into the discomfort? Because like Euphoria, obviously a very uncomfortable show for a lot of reasons, in a great way. I'd love to seek discomfort in art in a lot of ways. And even in Bob Trevino Likes It, like a lot of your performance is uncomfortable in a lot of ways that like challenges your own expectations. Like, is that a feeling that you actively seek to create?
Making people uncomfortable is what art is about. It's about making people think. It's about making people, like, even there's lots of films that I watch that I'm like, we're so uncomfortable to watch, and I'm like, I hated this, and then every day for the next like 2 months, I mention it every day. You know, it's like something that sticks with you is so important. And so, I mean, I'm to this right now. I'm like still like, what is it? My, you know, obsession with like being so uncomfortable watching something and then like having it just haunt me. And so, I mean, I hope one day I can, you know, that when I look back on my career, I hope that there are, you know, there's pieces of that in there, and that's really important to me as an actor because there's a lot of ways to go about it, and I have to always remember just like as truthful and as unflinching and as powerful as one can be while also, you know, keeping it restrained.
Sure.
Yeah.
You have another project coming out that has made me maybe the most uncomfortable I've ever been in my life, because I watched the original of it when I think I was like 11 years old, because that's what you did. You just pirated weird stuff on the internet, and you're remaking Faces of Death.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, that is a hell of a project.
I mean, I shot it 2 years ago. Hopefully it comes out soon. It was wow. The story incorporates Faces of Death. It's like we live in a universe like ours right now, where it exists. And it was so cool. It was amazing. I don't want to ruin anything because it's like I feel like all my favorite parts are like things that will ruin it. But it's extremely dark. It's disgusting in the best ways. And Dacre, who plays one of the characters, he's fantastic in it. I mean, everyone was like, it's a spooky one.
I can't wait to watch it physically through my fingers over my eyes.
Yeah, that's what my mom says. You know, she's like this. You know, my mom hates horror movies, and she watches everything I'm in because she's a supportive mom, and she just is like, no more of these.
I literally did that with House of Spoils.
Really?
Cooking movie. What a fun movie about a restaurant.
Fun movie about a restaurant.
Now I have nightmares. Barbie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, so you're not a big horror.
I hate it. Can't physically do it.
Do you like true crime?
I think there's a reason why a majority of true crime consumers are women.
Yes.
You know, because there's that kind
We
of
think about it all day.
Yeah, exactly. I've had no
But
bodily
if I go
fear
outside and I get kidnapped.
my entire life. I'm just like walking around. Just
You're like totally fine. Yeah.
That guy couldn't lift me. I'd get him in an ankle lock.
Yeah,
That guy-
no.
Yeah.
It's so true because women, we do just think like, okay, I'm in the parking lot by myself. I'm gonna have my key like this, you know, just in case the killer is around. The killer, you know. So yeah, totally.
Barbie, for the final course of your final meal, what more can be said about the pavlova? Now, this is an egg white and sugar meringue that has been par baked, layered with cream, should be crackling on the outside, nice and creamy and chewy on the inside, and then just all of the fruits, some berries, lemon zest, a little bit of edible marigold flowers on there. Do you want to do the honor of it? It's already like a little cracked, but do you want to slice it yourself?
I'm
I feel
scared
like that's
I'm gonna mess
half-
it up.
Are you sure?
You can
Don't-
do it. Please do the
I
honors.
know you're scared of...
I'm scared of. It's so beautiful.
You held the dog and you cried,
did.
and I know you're scared of messing things
I'm
up,
scared of
Barbie,
messing
but I
things.
think this
Wow.
is a big moment
Okay, fine. You know what?
before your death.
This actually is a big moment. Okay, do I just kind of crack it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna serve you first. 'Cause I'm very
Oh, thank you so
polite.
much.
Okay. Wow. Oh, I haven't had one in so long. And when I was in Hungary and I was shooting House of Spoils, which is very fitting for last meals. This was what when I got home from a shoot day. Downstairs.
Unbelievable. You said that when you started your modeling career, it felt like a rebirth.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because it implies the death of something previous. I'm curious, like, how much of that pre-modeling Barbie, that like younger, lonely, probably scared kid, still exists inside you.
Oh my god, all the time. I think that's like the beauty of it, is that you have to really tend to that kid. You know, I was like 16, so like what rebirth, like what really went down, you know? But it was like, it felt like the start of something where I could have like an armor of like, I'm not just this kind of shy, weird kid. Like I'm gonna chase my dreams and be, no matter what.
Every time you enter that new chapter, do you sort of like ever properly grieve the chapter that was left behind in a certain way?
I think when I was younger, no, but I think now I definitely do. I definitely grieve. And by grieve, I think I just celebrate it. I think it's okay to like, time flies. I'm getting older.
You mentioned grief as more of like a celebration. That also comes up in Bob Trevino Likes It with the scrapbooking. It's like this kind of very active physical celebration. When you grieve people in your own life, is there a way that you choose to celebrate them?
Grieving what once was is definitely something that I've had like a lot of, like I've had to like really like kind of ponder and people that are no longer serving me and the people who passed away. That one is like a brand new for me, which is I still don't really know. Seeing people that you love like either passing away or deteriorating in front of you is like something that it's hard. I think that with life, it's just I truly believe that time just heals all wounds. I know that's so lame, but it's so true.
Did you just make that up? Time heals all wounds? That's incredible.
Time heals
Put that
all
on a
wounds, Barbie
t-shirt.
Ferreira.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was me.
I know you had a co-star from Euphoria, Angus Cloud, passed
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
How did you deal with his death? Were you able to like kind of come together as family at that point? Or?
Yeah, I was actually in Kentucky shooting Bob Trevino Likes It.
Oh,
And
really?
it was like the worst day ever. He's so special. I love him so much, and it's just really sad. But it's weird to like have someone that you worked with and that you love, and they're just not there anymore. And I think that that's like so simple, but I think I haven't had a lot of thankfully I haven't had a lot of death in my life in general, and so going through that with the girls and it was a particular situation that was just so heartbreaking, and it's still like, you know, I don't think I still processed it completely. I think that's what I hear a lot of people say about grief is like, there's like levels to the process of it. It's like, oh, well, he's not here this year, or, you know, or, oh wait, like I can't just call him, you know. And I think that's like what I've been really learning is that. But he's so lovely. Yeah.
And he was such like a beautiful story from that show and how he was cast. And I think so many people like found themselves in him in certain ways.
Oh yeah, he was very silly. I love him so much. Oh gosh, I love Angus. But yeah, it was really. I don't think that was something that I would have ever thought would happen. I mean, that's the thing. I think that was so surprising is like, you know, and it was really beautiful because we all like called each other and we were all in different places. And you know, I was in Louisville. There was people in like London, LA, and like it was just. Yeah, we all came together, and it just felt surreal, but yeah.
It's funny when you were talking earlier about you develop these very strong bonds with people on shows, and then people leave, and you sort of end up like not seeing them as much anymore, but still having those very intense connections. It's really cool to hear that you all sort of like called each other. And
oh yeah, no, we still. I just saw Sydney and Ma. They came to see my play in New York. It was, you know, I love the girls, so it's fun. It's like a lifelong family that you have.
Talking about your own fear of death earlier, have you been thinking about it for a long time? Is there anything that like calms down that fear of death?
To be honest, I don't really have that much fear of death. I think of fear of other people dying. I think that is like...
You're fine if you go.
Yeah. Well, how am I supposed to know, you know?
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah. So I think about like, I have a lot of animals, and like, so for me, and you know, my loved ones and my family and stuff, I have to like physically stop myself from thinking that way because I just think it's like an anxiety thing. Like it's just like I always say this to myself. I'm like, I don't want to waste my emotions on something twice, because it's like if I'm going to, you know, cry about my cat turning 9, you know, for example, and because he's like getting older, it's like when he actually does pass, which he never will, I have just felt that pain. You know, multiple times when I could just save it for the real one. I think that to me is, I don't know if that makes any sense, but it makes me like not spiral about anything. I'm like, if it didn't happen yet, I'm not gonna have the same emotions that I will have when it happens, you know? Because it just feels like it's like, you're putting yourself through something for no reason.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Also, that makes way more sense than time heals all wounds. That's like, time doesn't heal all wounds. No, some wounds are absolutely timeless. This makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That should go on
There's
a
a
t-shirt.
lot of quotes that I'm spewing here.
You ready to get to the lightning round?
Yes, okay.
Let's do it. Who's the one person, dead or alive, you'd want to share your actual last meal with?
Ooh, Lana Del Rey.
Oh, hell yeah. What song do you want to be played at your funeral?
Ooh, probably like Tim Maia, Bom Senso.
Is it Portuguese?
Yeah, it's a Brazilian song.
It's like F, Marry, Kill, Tumblr, Instagram, TikTok.
I would F Tumblr. I would kill
Do it. You know you want to.
maybe Instagram. Honestly, save TikTok, because the thing is with TikTok is that like I'm just thrown for a loop every time I'm there. You know what I mean? Like I just learned about like the Great Lakes and stuff. It's crazy.
What's your favorite Great Lake?
I don't know them.
This is a metaphor for TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't really pay attention.
Who's your dream eulogizer at your funeral?
Okay, this is like not my family and not my friends. We're gonna talk like separate. Probably like Larry David.
He'd be so good.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be so good. Just complain about everything.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Can you coach me through how to pose for a photo in 30 seconds or less? Time starts now.
What's your side?
What?
What's your good side?
This side.
Okay then. You just gotta. Well, I don't know because I do a little pout.
Wait, how does the pout go? If you, because we have like 14 seconds, but like I see what you're doing, but how do I do that?
Well,
Like, am I like?
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do
Definitely
that.
not that.
Don't do
Definitely
that.
not that.
Don't do
Okay.
that.
Perfect.
No,
10.
you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
Just look. Relax your lips. That's not relaxed, baby.
I'm trying my best, Barbie.
Oh, okay. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay. You get to look a little surprised. You know what I mean?
Taylor, was your laughing?
I really like looking a little surprised in my pictures, I realize. You know?
Kind of like a doe, like a
You know? Oh, what's that?
a camera for us.
Worried? A little worried?
Oh.
Yeah.
No, don't. Okay. What's your biggest fear?
Oh, you know what my biggest fear is? The abyss. Nothingness.
Like the metaphorical abyss. Just
The
like,
metaphorical abyss. There's no middle end or anything. Beginning, middle end, it's nothing. There's just abyss, nothing. Like that's why dark water scares me when I don't see anything. Like a black hole in its most literal and figurative way.
Infinity and
I can't.
No,
I
that don't
do
feel
it.
good. What's one thing you added to your acting tool belt working with Jordan Peele on Nope?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, it was a very lengthy role, so a lot of things that I picked up on it. What did to like really get it together and stop being so nervous? Like I was really like, I have to like really just get it together and not be nervous. So I guess like that was part of it because I was so nervous.
I'd argue that's like the most important thing to have in your tool belt, though.
Well, no. I actually think that, yes, it is. Because nerves are, as an actor, can be if you don't know how to harness it, can be your worst enemy. The worst enemy. So I was really nervous that day, and thankfully didn't have much to do. So
like that is the kind of perfect scenario for that to happen, though.
I think that when you go in and you have like a couple lines, it's way more pressure than if you're if you're like in most, because you don't know, like, you know, Jordan's incredible, and also I'm a huge fan, and like I was there and I was like, I don't know everyone's so amazing, and then I only have like 2 lines. What if I can't say it? You know, so that's my thing.
What's your greatest regret in life?
I regret being so hard on myself. Boo, lame, real.
You're literally being hard on yourself right now without regretting being hard on yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Barbie, reverse the curse.
Okay, you're right. I being hard on myself, and I did excellent in this interview.
Hell yes, you did. Finally, Barbie, are you happy?
I'm very happy.
You seem very happy.
Oh, thank you.
You can take the Peplo home.
I will.
That makes you happy. Barbie, if you want to stare in that camera right there and deliver your final words on this earth.
I have tried my best. I hope it's enough.
I was trying to look surprised at the camera.
But I was sentimental. It is me. I throw in a joke, and then I throw in a little, you know.
Yeah,
yeah.
You're seasoned in the pot.
Kind of like Bob Trevino likes it in theaters March 21st.
March 21st. No, but like it actually is like Bob Trevino likes it. Like you do. It seems like so much to yourself. Comedy, tragedy, drama. It's beautiful. It's sweet. You are beautiful, sweet, and full of tragedy and drama.
Thank you. Oh man, thank you. That's
right?
the most wonderful compliment. Thank you.
Barbie, I can't thank you enough, and I can't thank you guys enough. Make sure you check out Bob Trevino Likes It out in theaters on March 21st. You got any other selling points for him?
Well, John Leguizamo.
Come on, little John Leguizamo.
Come on, baby. You want to see it.
Nothing makes death more palatable like a little drinky drink. The Last Meals bar set is available now at mythical.com.